Women 65 plus, 4. Nuts that regrow hair, 4. Quietly causing hair fall. There's a specific type of hair loss that medical professionals in the United States observe with considerable attention, particularly among women who are over the age of 50. What many women often fail to recognize is that a seemingly simple dietary choice, such as the nuts they consume, can profoundly influence the improvement or exacerbation of this condition. The information presented here has been specifically researched and curated for European and American women, drawing upon studies conducted at renowned American universities and supported by robust medical research that holds relevance to our concerns. Today, I am going to share 4 powerful types of nuts that possess the remarkable ability to help restore your hair's lost strength and thickness. Simultaneously, I will be revealing 4 common nuts that, unbeknownst to you, might be silently sabotaging your efforts and hindering your progress. The final risky nut I will discuss is likely to cause you a great deal of surprise, as it is a staple found in most American kitchens today. Before we delve into the specifics, I kindly ask for a small favor. Please hit the like button and leave a comment with your age. This will help us build a supportive community of women who are navigating these changes together and sharing their experiences. Now, let's begin by understanding what is truly happening with your hair, and focus first on the nuts that can actively contribute to its well-being. We will start with number 4 on our list of beneficial nuts: almonds. Almonds are frequently recommended by U.S. doctors when women express concerns about their hair thinning. While you might consider almonds to be just a simple snack, they contain specific components that are incredibly important for the health of your scalp. These nuts are a rich source of biotin, a nutrient that, while it might sound technical, can be thought of as essential food for the very cells responsible for hair growth. As we age, especially beyond 50, our body's ability to absorb nutrients diminishes compared to when we were younger. Medical research conducted in various American universities has demonstrated that many women in our age group are experiencing a deficiency in biotin without even realizing it. Your hair follicles, which are the tiny pockets within your scalp where each strand of hair originates and grows, absolutely require adequate biotin to function optimally. Without sufficient biotin, these follicles can slow down their activity or cease producing strong, healthy hair altogether. What makes almonds particularly special, beyond their biotin content, is their abundance of vitamin E. Vitamin E acts like a protective shield for your scalp, safeguarding it from damage. You can visualize your scalp as the soil from which your hair grows. Vitamin E helps maintain that soil in a healthy condition, creating an optimal environment for growth. One particular study, frequently referenced by American doctors, found that women who incorporated vitamin E into their daily routines observed a noticeable increase in hair thickness over a period of several months. You do not need to consume an entire bag of almonds daily. A small handful, approximately 20 almonds, is what many U.S. nutritionists suggest. These can be sprinkled over your morning oatmeal, added to your salads for a delightful crunch, or kept in a small container in your purse for a convenient afternoon snack. The key to experiencing benefits is consistency as hair. Growth is a slow process, and you will not see changes overnight. However, over weeks and months, many women report their hair feeling stronger and experiencing less breakage. But almonds are not the only nut that can offer benefits for your hair. The next nut I will share works through a completely different mechanism, targeting an issue that doctors frequently observe in American women of our age group. Coming in at number 3 on our list of beneficial nuts are walnuts. Walnuts are particularly interesting because they address a specific physiological change that many women experience after menopause. You have likely heard of omega-3 fatty acids, often associated with fish, but walnuts stand out as one of the few nuts that contain these beneficial fats in meaningful quantities. The significance of omega-3s for your hair lies in their anti-inflammatory properties. As we age, particularly after 50, inflammation tends to become a more prevalent issue within our bodies, even if it's not immediately apparent. This underlying inflammation can also affect your scalp, creating a less than ideal environment for hair growth, much like trying to cultivate a garden in poor soil. The omega-3s found in walnuts help to calm this inflammation. Research from American medical institutions has indicated that women who include omega-3 rich foods like walnuts in their diet often experience improvements not only in their hair's health, but also in the overall condition of their scalp, reporting less itching, reduced irritation, and better growth conditions. Furthermore, walnuts possess another key component relevant to hair health: copper. This mineral, though not frequently discussed, plays a crucial role in maintaining the natural color and structural integrity of your hair. While walnuts alone may not prevent graying, which is largely genetic, copper contributes to keeping the hair you have from becoming weak and brittle. The texture and resilience of your hair are just as vital as its density. You want hair that is strong enough to be styled, brushed without excessive breakage, and that feels healthy and vibrant. Many U.S. doctors recommend consuming about 7 to 10 walnut halves several times a week. They can be chopped and added to yogurt, baked into healthy muffins, or enjoyed on their own. Some women find it convenient to keep a small bag in their car for when they are on the go. The true advantage of walnuts is that they work to improve your hair health from within, addressing issues at the root level that topical treatments often cannot reach. While walnuts are beneficial, the next nut on my list offers even more potent support, especially for the type of hair thinning that is most prevalent among women over 50. We now move to number 2 on our list, and this is where things become particularly fascinating as we discuss Brazil nuts. If you haven't tried them before, Brazil nuts are larger than most other nuts, boasting a rich, almost buttery flavor. Crucially, they are packed with a component that is vital for thyroid health, and its connection to your hair is a revelation for many women. Your thyroid, a small gland located in your neck, regulates your metabolism, energy levels, and, importantly, your hair growth. Medical research conducted in universities across the U.S. has identified thyroid issues as being remarkably common in women of our age, with hair loss or thinning often being one of the earliest indicators. The key player here is selenium, a mineral that your thyroid requires to function correctly. Brazil nuts are among the most concentrated dietary sources of selenium available. In fact, consuming just 1 or 2 Brazil nuts per day can provide your thyroid with the selenium it needs. When your thyroid doesn't receive adequate selenium, it begins to slow down. This slowdown affects every bodily process, including your hair growth cycle, leading to hair that can feel lifeless, appear dull, or shed in amounts greater than normal. U.S. doctors frequently assess thyroid function when women over 50 present with complaints of hair loss and often find that the thyroid is not functioning at its optimal level. It is important to note with Brazil nuts that more is not necessarily better due to their high selenium content. Consuming too many can lead to adverse effects. The FDA recommends keeping selenium intake within safe limits, which for Brazil nuts translates to a maximum of 1 to 3 nuts per day. They can be enjoyed as a quick snack, chopped and sprinkled over a salad, or even blended into a morning smoothie. The objective is to consume them regularly in small, controlled amounts. Many women observe a significant reduction in hair shedding after a few months of incorporating Brazil nuts into their diet, recognizing this as a sign of improvement. Gradually, they may notice new hair growth, often in the form of fine baby hairs around the hairline or at the crown. This process takes time because hair grows in cyclical patterns, but the thyroid support provided by selenium creates a more conducive internal environment for robust growth. However, there is one more nut that can offer significant benefits for your hair, and this final selection addresses an issue that nearly every woman over 50 encounters but rarely connects to hair health. The number 1 nut for promoting hair growth after the age of 50 is the cashew. If this choice surprises you, you are not alone. Cashews often do not receive the attention they deserve, yet they contain something that your hair desperately needs, especially at this stage of life: zinc. Consider zinc as the diligent construction worker of your body, instrumental in building and repairing tissues, including those of your scalp and hair follicles. As we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing zinc from our diet. Consequently, zinc deficiency is more prevalent than most women realize. Studies frequently cited by American doctors indicate a direct link between low zinc levels and hair loss, particularly the diffuse thinning pattern observed across the entire scalp rather than in isolated spots, which is the most common type of hair loss seen in American women post-menopause. The complexity of zinc deficiency lies in its subtle onset. It doesn't typically manifest with obvious symptoms initially. You might experience mild fatigue or a slight decrease in your sense of taste, but nothing that immediately signals a need to check your zinc levels. Meanwhile, your hair is silently being affected. Hair follicles require zinc to progress through their natural growth cycle effectively. Without adequate zinc, these follicles can become stuck in a resting phase, and resting follicles do not produce new hair. Cashews offer a gentle, natural way to help replenish your zinc levels. A quarter cup of cashews provides a substantial amount of zinc alongside other minerals like iron and magnesium, which contribute to overall health. Many U.S. nutritionists recommend cashews as part of a balanced dietary approach for women in our age group. They can be enjoyed roasted as a snack, blended into a creamy sauce for vegetables, or even transformed into cashew butter to spread on apple slices. The naturally creamy texture of cashews makes them an easy and enjoyable addition to meals without feeling like a dietary chore. Women who integrate cashews into their regular diet often report that their hair begins to feel thicker and more resilient after several months. The individual strands become stronger, leading to less breakage during brushing or styling. This is a significant benefit, as sometimes the focus needs to shift from growing more hair to preserving and strengthening the hair you already have. However, it is crucial to understand a vital point. While these 4 nuts can beautifully support hair health, there are other nuts that might inadvertently be working against you, and most women are unaware of the problem they might be causing. The problematic nuts I am about to reveal are likely already in pantries across America, and one of them is particularly concerning for reasons that will likely surprise you. Let me introduce you to the first risky nut on our caution list. Number 4, peanuts. This one often catches women off guard because they are widely perceived as a healthy food. Peanuts, technically legumes rather than true nuts, can pose challenges for hair health in ways that are not widely discussed. Before you assume I am condemning peanuts entirely, please allow me to explain the specific issue. Peanuts are highly susceptible to contamination with aflatoxins, a type of mold that can grow on crops, especially when stored in warm, humid conditions. Hormone imbalances become more likely when aflatoxin exposure occurs, and maintaining hormonal balance is critical for hair health, particularly after menopause. U.S. doctors often encounter women experiencing unexplained hair loss who have underlying liver stress from various sources. While peanuts are not the sole cause, they can be a contributing factor if consumed daily. The concern arises not from occasional peanut consumption, but from regular, high intake, which many women do not consider problematic. Think of peanut butter on toast every morning, peanuts as a daily snack, or peanut sauce incorporated into dinner multiple times a week. This potential for contamination is well documented in medical research conducted at American universities and monitored by the FDA. Aflatoxins are concerning because they can negatively impact your liver's function. This directly relates to your hair health because your liver is responsible for processing nutrients, regulating hormone balance, and detoxifying your body. When your liver is stressed or overloaded, a common observation in women who regularly consume foods contaminated with aflatoxins, it struggles to perform its essential functions effectively. This cumulative effect can be detrimental. Another significant concern with peanuts is their status as one of the most common allergens. Even mild sensitivities, which may not elicit obvious allergic reactions, can trigger chronic inflammation within your body. We have already discussed how inflammation can negatively impact your scalp and hinder hair growth. If your body is continuously engaged in combating low-grade inflammation stemming from a food sensitivity that diverts valuable energy and resources away from healthy hair production. I am not suggesting you must eliminate peanuts entirely, but many U.S. doctors advise moderating your intake and opting for other nut choices more frequently. If you do choose to consume peanuts, look for brands that specifically test for aflatoxins and consider purchasing organic options when available. It is also important to pay attention to how your body responds. Do you notice more hair in your brush on weeks when you consume more peanuts? This might be a subtle signal your body is sending you. However, as potentially problematic as peanuts can be, the next risky nut presents an entirely different issue that directly interferes with a nutrient essential for hair growth. Moving on to risky nut number 3, and this one tends to surprise most people I discuss it with. Pecans, particularly the candied or heavily sweetened varieties, often found in abundance during the holiday season, can actually work counterproductively against your hair health goals. While pecans in their natural, unsweetened state are not inherently detrimental, the reality of how they are consumed by most Americans is the primary concern. The vast majority of pecans Americans eat are either coated in sugar, baked into pies, or incorporated into various desserts. This added sugar is the real culprit. Medical research conducted in universities across the US has established a clear correlation between high sugar intake and hair loss, especially in women over 50. The physiological mechanism involves blood sugar spikes after sugar consumption, prompting the body to release insulin to regulate it. Over time, with consistent consumption of high sugar foods, your body's cells can become less responsive to insulin, leading to insulin resistance. This condition is remarkably prevalent among American women after menopause. So, what does this have to do with your hair? Insulin resistance directly impacts your body's hormonal balance, particularly affecting androgens. Even as women, we possess small amounts of male hormones. When insulin resistance is present, these androgens can become more active, potentially shrinking hair follicles, especially around the crown and hairline, which leads to the characteristic thinning pattern that US doctors frequently observe in their female patients. While pecans themselves contain some beneficial nutrients, when prepared in the way most Americans consume them, loaded with sugar and often accompanied by unhealthy fats, they transform into a problematic food. The holiday seasons pose a particular challenge, with pecan pie being a ubiquitous treat. Women often fail to connect the increased hair shedding they experience in January and February to their dietary choices in November and December. Beyond the sugar issue, pecans are also exceptionally high in calories and omega-6 fatty acids. While omega-6s are not inherently harmful in moderation, an imbalance where they significantly outweigh omega-3s can promote inflammation throughout your body. Remember, inflammation on your scalp creates an unfavorable environment for hair growth. The typical American diet is already quite high in omega-6s due to the prevalence of vegetable oils and processed foods. Adding large quantities of pecans can further exacerbate this imbalance. If you enjoy pecans, the key is to consume them plain, unsweetened, and in small portions. Consider them an occasional indulgence rather than a regular snack. Opt for raw or dry roasted pecans without any added sugars or syrups. It is also essential to be honest with yourself about portion sizes. It is easy to mindlessly consume a large handful while distracted, inadvertently ingesting several hundred calories and a significant amount of omega-6 without realizing it. However, the next risky nut I must caution you about presents a completely different concern, one that directly impacts your body's ability to absorb crucial nutrients essential for hair health. We are now at risky nut number 2, and while this might sound technical, I will explain it simply. Cashews. Yes, the same cashews that I praised earlier can become problematic if consumed in excess. The issue that is not frequently discussed is that cashews contain phytic acid, a compound also found in many other nuts and seeds. Phytic acid is sometimes referred to as an anti-nutrient because it can bind to minerals in your digestive system, hindering your body's ability to absorb them. The minerals most significantly affected are zinc, iron, and calcium, all of which are vital for healthy hair. You might be thinking, but you just said cashews are good because they contain zinc. And you are correct. In moderate amounts, the zinc present in cashews is indeed beneficial. However, this is where many women make a mistake. They hear that cashews are healthy and begin consuming large quantities daily, assuming that more is always better. When you consume too many cashews regularly, the phytic acid begins to counteract the benefits. Your body is essentially flooded with this compound that blocks essential mineral absorption. Ironically, you can end up deficient in the very nutrients your hair needs for growth, even though you are eating foods that contain them. If your diet already includes many foods high in phytic acid, such as whole grains and legumes, which are generally healthy, you may need to be even more conservative with your cashew intake. But as careful as you need to be with cashews, there is one more risky nut that I have saved for last. And this one is very likely already in your kitchen, perhaps something you consume regularly without realizing its potential impact on your hair. The number one risky nut that can sabotage your hair health is a somewhat controversial topic, but it is important that you hear this: macadamia nuts. Often perceived as a luxurious nut and promoted for their health benefits, macadamia nuts can actually be detrimental to hair health if consumed without careful consideration. The reasons behind this may surprise you. Firstly, let's consider their fat content. Macadamia nuts are exceptionally high in fat, more so than almost any other nut. While some of this fat is the beneficial monounsaturated type, the sheer quantity can pose a problem. This is something US doctors observe in women who are trying to eat healthily but do not fully grasp the concept of nutritional balance. Research from American medical centers has indicated that excessive consumption of foods high in phytic acid can contribute to nutrient deficiencies over time, particularly in women whose digestive systems are already less efficient due to age. There is another concern with cashews specifically. They are almost never sold truly raw because raw cashews contain a toxic substance that must be neutralized through heating. The cashews you purchase labeled as raw have actually undergone a steaming or roasting process. While this processing is necessary and safe, it also means that cashews can be higher in sodium and other additives, depending on the brand. High sodium intake can lead to water retention and affect blood pressure, and good blood circulation is absolutely essential for delivering vital nutrients to your scalp and hair follicles. Many processed or flavored cashews contain added salt, oils, and sometimes sugar. Women purchase them believing they are making a healthy choice, unaware that they are consuming extra ingredients that do not support their health goals. If you consume cashews, and again, in moderation, they can be beneficial. Opt for unsalted, minimally processed versions. Limit yourself to a small handful, perhaps a quarter cup, a few times a week, rather than eating them in large quantities every single day. Pay attention to the overall balance of your diet. A single ounce of macadamia nuts contains over 20 grams of fat and more than 200 calories. For women over 50 who are managing their weight, and considering that weight management is closely linked to hormone balance, which in turn affects hair, it is incredibly easy to overconsume macadamia nuts without realizing how calorie-dense they are. However, the more significant concern is this: macadamia nuts possess an extremely high omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio, one of the least favorable among commonly consumed nuts. We have already established that an excessive intake of omega-6 fatty acids promotes inflammation throughout your body, and inflammation on your scalp creates a poor environment for hair growth. US doctors frequently advise women on the critical importance of balancing these fatty acids, especially for conditions involving inflammation, which includes certain types of hair loss. When you consume macadamia nuts regularly, you are tilting your body's inflammatory balance in the wrong direction. There is another issue that is less commonly known. Macadamia nuts can be difficult for some women to digest, particularly as we age and our digestive systems become less efficient. Poor digestion means that you are not effectively absorbing nutrients from all your food, including those essential for hair health. Some women experience bloating, gas, or discomfort after eating macadamia nuts without connecting it to the nuts themselves. Your gut health is directly linked to nutrient absorption, and if your gut is struggling, your hair health will eventually reflect this. The FDA and nutrition experts consistently highlight that portion control is paramount with high-fat foods, and macadamia nuts fall squarely into this category. The problem lies in their deliciousness and addictive nature. It is incredibly easy to sit down with a bag of macadamia nuts and consume far more than a single serving before you even realize it. You have then consumed potentially 500 or more calories, a substantial amount of omega-6 fatty acids, and placed your digestive system under stress, all of which work against your hair health objectives. Medical research conducted in American universities, examining inflammatory markers in women, has confirmed that diet plays a significant role in chronic inflammation levels, and the types of fats you consume are enormously important. Macadamia nuts, while offering some benefits in very small quantities, can easily become a problematic food when consumed in the way most people do, in quantities that are too large and too frequent. If you enjoy macadamia nuts and are unwilling to give them up entirely, here is what many U.S. nutritionists recommend. Limit yourself to just a few nuts at a time, perhaps 5 or 6, and treat them as an occasional indulgence rather than a regular snack. Never eat them directly from the container, as you will likely lose track of how much you have consumed. Portion them out beforehand and be mindful of other sources of omega-6 fatty acids in your diet. If you consume a significant amount of vegetable oils, processed foods, or other nuts high in omega-6s, you might consider skipping macadamia nuts altogether and focusing on options that offer a better nutritional balance for your hair health. Now that you are aware of which nuts can support your hair and which ones warrant caution, I want to leave you with a crucial piece of advice. Achieving optimal hair health after 50 is not about relying on a single magic food or strictly avoiding one specific item. It is about the overall dietary pattern you maintain consistently, day after day, week after week. The nuts I have recommended, almonds, walnuts, Brazil nuts, and moderate amounts of cashews, can be a valuable part of a supportive approach when consumed consistently and in reasonable portions. They are most effective when integrated into a lifestyle that also includes adequate water intake, sufficient protein consumption, effective stress management, and overall self-care.